This is the 644th regular Arizona Racing Commission meeting of May 12, 2016, held at 1110 West Washington, Suite 250, Phoenix, Arizona 85007.
May 12th, and it's currently...
Go ahead, you're on the record now.
May 12th, and it's currently 10 a.m., so Madam Secretary, would you like to call roll?
Yes. Commissioner Garay?
Here.
Commissioner Feldmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Lawless?
Here.
Commissioner Heupel?
Here.
Commissioner McClintock?
Here.
Okay, please make note that Commissioners Lawless and Heupel are appearing telephonically. Go ahead.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to call to order the 644th regular Arizona Racing Commission meeting today on May 12th, 2016. We will, if no one has objections, we're going to move the appeals of the director's decision, item B, to after items that are listed under C. And just so everyone knows, today when we do have put out time constraints, we do have a hard time that we have to be out of here today, so we are going to be really stringent on our time constraints. So I'd appreciate everyone respecting when we set some time. All right, so the first item up under C, new business, would be a Turf Paradise application for additional wagering sites, and I believe we have two. So the first one would be ADG Baseline LLC, doing business as Dos Gringos. Is there some department, Mr. Casillas, do you have anything on that?
No, we did the due diligence on it and recommend that they be approved.
Any discussion from the commission?
I just have one comment. In reviewing the backup information on this, it appears to me that it's the standard review that's taken place and meets all the high marks that are the minimum that are needed to accomplish this. So I'd move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Madam Secretary?
Commissioner Garay?
Yes.
Commissioner Feldmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Lawless?
Yes.
Commissioner Heupel?
Yeah.
Commissioner McClintock?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay. And the second one under number one is ROJ LLC, doing business as KO Donald's Sports Bar and Grill. Any comment, Mr. Director, on that?
Same thing.
Same thing.
Sure.
Any comments, discussion from the commission?
My comments are the same again, Mr. Chairman. I'd move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Madam Secretary?
Commissioner Garay?
Yes.
Commissioner Feldmeyer?
Yep.
Commissioner Lawless?
Yes.
Commissioner Heupel?
Yes.
Commissioner McClintock?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay. The next item up is application of Edward Charles Bronger as General Manager of American Greyhound Racing, Inc.
And I'll take this one. As many of you know, Dan Luciano retired as of December 31st, 2016. ARS 5-107-02 requires commission approval of a general manager. And Ed has a rather distinguished career, so we obviously recommend approval.
Any discussion, comments from the commission?
I have a question. For what purpose is this needed now if Greyhound Racing is dead by the end of this calendar year?
AGP still has their permit.
So it's for the permit whether they actively race or not?
Yes.
We do have on-track.
Yeah, we do have off-track betting.
Right. So that's going to continue. There'll just be no live racing in Arizona. Until they go after that. That's just my editorial slanderous attack. Go ahead.
Well, I move we approve that Bronger as
Second.
manager of American Greyhound Racing.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Madam Secretary?
Commissioner Garay?
Yes.
Commissioner Feldmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Lawless?
Yes.
Commissioner Heupel?
Yes.
Commissioner McClintock?
Yes.
Carries.
Okay, the next item up on the agenda is Tucson Greyhound Park, request to amend racing schedule from remaining live racing to dark day simulcasting.
This is another one came through this week. TGP has requested that they amend their live racing schedule to end live racing on June 24th, 2016. That is what I believe is their 100th day of live racing for the year. And I make note that Michael Rossi is here.
And while I understand the reasoning for this request, I would personally only be comfortable modifying the July dates if we could do that. My reasoning is in this order is for allowing us, the Racing Commission, to still have a little bit of control over what's going on, make sure these dogs are taken care of. And I have a letter that was sent to the leaders of the Senate and House urging the Senate and representatives to support this bill. It was signed by Christine Dorchek, president of Grey 2K. The organization that claims HB 2127 was their bill, and it states, "We are also happy to provide food and any other support that is needed to transition the greyhounds into forever homes." This is not the first time they have sent such letters to various legislative members of not only our state but other states. As someone who has been involved with greyhound adoption, welfare, and advocacy since 1993, I can think of no single instance where Grey 2K has provided any substance to help them attract closure. I also believe Tucson Greyhound Park stated at the Finance Committee meeting or hearing that they would also provide help. So at this point in time, I would personally not want to approve this or only approve July dates, and then once we know all the dogs are taken care of, readdress that at that time. Mr. Ross.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Michael Rossi appearing on behalf of Tucson Greyhound Park. As you know from my last appearance, we have been meeting regularly with the division and with the kennel operators and discussing with them what their preference is in light of the new law. The new law, as you're aware, was passed by both chambers of the legislature unanimously. We have received information that the governor will be signing that law within the next day or so, next few days, and the kennel operators unanimously have stated that in light of the new law, they would like to terminate live racing sooner rather than at the end of the year, so that those dogs that are going to go on racing can be relocated to other racing facilities. Those that are appropriate for adoption, we can do in an orderly fashion, and we have been working with them and with the various adoption agencies to ensure that that goes smoothly. Under existing law, we can end at 100 days. So this request is for us to end live racing on the 100th day. The commission and the division's regulatory authority over the permittee, TGP, and the licensees remains identical whether there is live racing or not. So there is absolutely no diminution in the division and the commission's authority over this permittee. They will remain a permittee exactly the same way that American Greyhound Racing is still a permittee. They will be operating simulcasting operations. They will have to have a general manager. That general manager has to be approved by the commission, just as you did on the immediately prior agenda item. So this is the preference of the kennel operators. They have been in touch with the dog owners in light of the inevitability of the current law change. So we would request your support so that we can start adoption in an orderly fashion. Without this modification, we are left absolutely in no man's land, because we do need to start adopting. We do need to start reducing the number of dogs. We can only do that if the commission approves a modification of our racing dates. So I'm happy to answer any other questions. I do think you are legally on very, very solid ground, irrespective of the change in racing dates, and I would request the commission's support of this change.
Well, I mean, if we only change the July dates, knowing that the bill, let's say, and the bill's not even signed yet, so we could change the dates today, and then let's just say something happens and it doesn't get signed. So then we're having to come back and redo these dates or do something else. I personally still would only feel comfortable with doing July, knowing once the bill is signed and July is taken care of. I wouldn't want to do anything further after that until I'd known that those who said that they were going to take care of the dogs and who promised our House and Senate a bill of goods that they were going to help provide for these dogs until they do such. I don't want to, this is a little something I still have a little control over, your race date. If they don't provide what they said they would provide, then no, I don't want to change that. And this organization, and it's nothing against Tucson Greyhound Park, because I know every time that there has been, Tucson Greyhound Park has always stepped up and paid a lot to help out for the adoption of the dogs. It's this other organization that claims that this is their bill. They have this habit of selling of goods and never coming forth. So I want to know, what are they doing? What are they going to do? Our charitable organizations of Arizona should not be responsible for this. It was you and Tucson Greyhound, or your Tucson Greyhound Park and Grey 2K who pushed this bill, lobbied for it. So it's kind of your mess. So how are we going to take care of it? Who's paying for it? I understand owner and kennel responsibility, but they weren't the ones down there lobbying for this. So again, I know you guys are always helping out. It's the other party that pushed this bill. I want to know, what are they doing?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, while I couldn't possibly agree with you more on hoping that they step up also, the characterization of who pushed it and that, it doesn't matter. I would disagree with a little bit, but it's not material to this discussion. I certainly respect your point of view on it. The challenge this leaves us, we've got the responsibility. There is no regulatory authority over that other organization. It is entirely in our lap and entirely in our kennel's lap. We have to make it work. We have to make it work because it's the right thing to do. We have to make it work because we're legally obligated to do that, and the licensees are legally obligated to do that. And we have to figure out the dollars amongst ourselves. Those that help us, we are very grateful for, and we've had many, many organizations reach out and express a desire to help. But the practical reality is, once we start moving dogs out, there is no way to restart again. So once we, and the truth of the matter is, this ball has already started down the hill. The bill's going to be signed, and very, very candidly, there's no reversing it. So I completely agree with your concern. I'm not sure simply eliminating the July dates creates that leverage. There's a June meeting. If the governor gets abducted by aliens and there's a new governor appointed and he vetoes it.
Well, your meeting, when's your last date?
Is the 24th.
So there's a June meeting that we could table this till.
Mr. Chairman, commission members, our challenge is in order to do an orderly transition. We've talked about this with the division. This is a couple-month process. We've already started it, and we need to continue with it right now. So it puts us in a very difficult position, adopting out dogs, preparing to scale back, not knowing the commission's decision until 12 days before the potential end. We're really trying to provide a greater level of certainty to the kennel operators and the dog owners who want to relocate to other racing facilities. So again, I completely agree with your desire to have some leverage on other folks, but I'm afraid
it's not just on them, but it's on you guys as well. I just want to make sure all these dogs are taken care of, and and the kennels down there, I know they're not rich people, and I don't want anything coming about any dog being harmed down there, going to a wrong group, something happening that harms a dog. I want to know that there's financial responsibility to take care of those dogs. And until I am given that warm, fuzzy feeling, and I know that there's going to be that financial contribution to the charitable organizations of Arizona, New Mexico, California that are going to be taking these dogs, because from the adoption side, I can tell you, it costs about $300 to get a dog ready for, a Greyhound ready for adoption. So I want to know, how are they going to be helped? Who's, the charitable organizations didn't bring this about. The kennels and the owners of the dogs didn't bring this about. So how are we going to take care of this? And I want that warm, fuzzy feeling that this is going to happen.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, we need this certainty to be able to accomplish that goal. That's why I'm standing before you today.
I have a question, Mr. Chairman, of our attorney. Can you, I'm trying to think of this in a way I understand. So the train's left the station, all right? And this is all going to happen whether we like it or not. So we either endorse it, and it happens with this degree of formality, or it happens without our approval.
I think we need to go into executive session for purpose of receiving legal advice.
Okay. Is there?
I don't want to start.
Okay.
I don't want to start.
No, okay, yeah. Because that'll probably be later
Forget
on.
I asked the question.
Well, I think the bill is going, if it passes, as the bill is written now, it goes through the end of the year. But Tucson Greyhound Park also, there was something where they could, if they had agreement, go only 100 days. So I think that's what you're trying to do right now.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, existing law allows us to go less than 100 days with a majority of the kennels. As a practical matter, we couldn't get there if we wanted to. And we have 100% agreement of the kennels, and at the 100th day or after, we don't legally, pursuant to statute, even need their approval. So that's why we're asking for it today, because it's not incumbent on the new law passing, but it is planning and ensuring that we can do precisely what you have asked for, is to have some of this certainty really for the kennel operators, but also from a regulatory standpoint. And we've been meeting with the division on a very regular basis. Mr. Casillas and Mr. Stiles can speak to that, and planning for all of this process. And I think they would agree it needs to move forward in a very orderly fashion, and this is a pretty important legal prerequisite to us being able to wind up live racing at an earlier date, because currently we're obligated to continue till the end of the currently approved racing date schedule.
Well, I know Tom Taylor used to be Tucson manager several years ago. I know there was a time when they needed to get dogs moved out. I think they were giving the groups like $100, $125 to take dogs off their hands. That's what I'm wanting. What are you guys going to be offering these charitable organizations that are going to be taking these dogs off your hands?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, it will depend on each organization, and we're working with a whole coalition of different organizations, and we will assist with transport as necessary. We'll assist with other services as necessary. Each one of those has different needs. Some of them are local in Tucson, some of them are local in Arizona, some of them are out of state. But we are absolutely committed to doing that in an orderly fashion. But for me to sit here and say, we're just going to give $125 per dog, there are some cases that may require more and many cases that may require less. That doesn't solve the problem. But our permit and everything else is, you still have full regulatory authority over us. The racing date schedule modification in no way influences that.
Well, I guess where I'm kind of seeing is if we just sent you to dark on July, and then somehow you did not take care of the dogs, and then you were required to start running. Of course, we all know you would not be able to get dogs back in. we've got your permit then, because you're not. So this is my leverage I'm looking at, as to make sure these dogs are taken care of. I don't know if it works.
Is it possible for us to make the decision with the condition that those steps are taken?
If those steps are taken, that would probably work, I would believe.
Mr. Chairman, we would be very agreeable to that.
Okay.
I'll put anything on the record that you'd like, but we'd certainly...
You know, I don't like arguing with you.
Yeah, support that as part of a motion, though. We just would like some predictability. We absolutely share your interest. I mean, the owners have tasked me, along with Dale, to ensure that this process takes place smoothly and appropriately. So, normally my venue is down there. Well, I'm spending a whole lot of time ensuring that dog adoptions happen properly and appropriately, and will continue to be doing so till the very last dog is appropriately located.
All right. And if at some point in time, too, if you do get information as to what that other party that we don't have any jurisdiction over, if you could get information as to what they have actually contributed, I know other states would actually like to hear that, because they're making a lot of promises, but there's been zero contribution that anyone knows.
And Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I've been in contact with that organization as recently as 2 hours ago this morning. They have passed on the name of individuals in the state who have pledged to assist, and I will put on the record that I will come back at the next commission meeting in June and give you an update on how that's going in the entire adoption process. So you will have another meeting on June 12th, and I will be back here in front of you giving a full report on how the entire process is laying out, what support the track is doing, in much more detail.
Okay. So I'll shut up now so we can get moving on.
Well, I know what I'd like to say, but I'm not sure I have the right wording. So I'm looking for some guidance on some of the language that would encompass that motion.
What I'm just looking for is that there has been, that all the dogs are taken care of, and there's a financial commitment from Tucson Greyhound Park, and that even if a kennel should all of a sudden just turn in their key, that there's somebody's taking care of them, and if there's not, then it needs to be brought back to us. I'm not quite sure how to word it, the motion.
Well, Rory, I think you'd be the best one to propose the motion so that you know exactly what you want.
Okay. Was there any further discussion, comments?
Mr. Chairman, if it's not too presumptuous of me, something to the effect that the racing dates be modified as requested, subject to the additional understanding that all animals will be appropriately and properly relocated.
So moved.
I like it.
Mr. Director, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, my name is Lloyd Yoder. I'm president of the HBPA. Under this bill that's at the governor's office and he has not signed at this point, there is some contribution coming from the Greyhound's owners, or the track owners, that flow over into the breeders program for horses. My question is, and this is for the record, my question is that money start when they end racing in June, or does it start, hopefully not in December, because it's supposed to start when they end racing? So I don't know if anybody has an answer for that, but I'd like to be on the record and somebody try to clarify it for me.
I have no clue.
Do you have any idea?
I do.
Can you address it?
I can.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Yoakum, the law, and it's in the law, starts the new contribution on January 1. It does not start it at the end of live racing, and that was discussed with your representative at the time. So if, and we didn't even know at the time when live racing would end, but we did know that there would need to be money spent on adopting and relocating all the dogs. And so this year is seen as the transition and wrapping everything up and then the new fees to the horsemen starting January 1. And that was explicitly discussed with your representatives when we wrote that provision. That was a significant point of discussion with Senator Pierce and with Mr. Ahn.
Again, I was at those negotiations. I don't think that was discussed as when. There was no early stopping of dog racing mentioned. So I would, I don't know what can be done about it, if anything, but my understanding was at the end of racing, which I think we all knew the moment that they got this bill in and got it passed, that they would end racing immediately. So I'm just looking for help from the horsemen. I mean, we had to give them a 2-year extension to quit racing, which they would have quit racing anyway. So it looks like kind of a money grab to me that they're not willing to come step forward and do the right thing and help the horsemen as they committed to. Thank you.
Any further discussion, comments? I don't know if it's Mr. Sin speaking.
Mr. Chairman, we had some language suggested as a motion, and I think that's appropriate if you do.
I as well do.
So with that, then I would move to accept that language as the motion.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? I'll give her a few seconds to get back to her secretary check.
Thank you.
Madam Secretary?
Commissioner Garay,
Yes.
Commissioner Feldmeyer,
Yes.
Commissioner Lawless,
Yes.
Commissioner Heupel. Commissioner Heupel, are you still on the phone?
Yes.
Are you in agreement with the motion?
I am. Sorry, I had it on mute and I was thinking.
Thank you. Commissioner McClintock?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
All right, thank you, everyone. The next item is number 4, approval of land survey of Cochise County Fair Association track.
Yeah, this is coming with some of these county fairs that are starting up after 6 years. The AQHA rule states that unless otherwise specified herein, AQHA recognizes the model rules for flat racing adopted by the Association of Racing Commissioners International and requests that races eligible for AQHA recognition be run in accordance with such rules. The ACRI rules recommend that commission approval of the survey, and so obviously we would recommend that approval.
Is there any comments from discussion? Do we have a motion?
I move we approve the land survey for Cochise County Fair Association.
All those in favor say aye.
I need a second.
Oh, I'm sorry. Second here.
Thank you.
All
That's
those
what I
in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Madam Secretary?
Commissioner Garay,
Yes.
Commissioner Feldmeyer,
Yep.
Commissioner Lawless,
Yes.
Commissioner Heupel,
Yes.
Commissioner McClintock.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. Now the next item is D, information reports. I don't know, Greg, are you Christopher here, or do we have Christopher here?
Christopher is here.
Okay, well, there he is.
Mr. Chairman and members of the Commission, for the record, Chris Cogman, Government Travel Relations Manager for the Arizona Department of Gaming. I was requested to appear before you today to provide a brief legislative update, so I'll go ahead and give that to you real quick, and then after I'm done, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer. Real briefly, there were just a few, I'll say 5 or 6 bills that impact the Racing Commission, either tangentially or directly. The first one, more tangentially, Senate Bill 1120, which is the Boxing Commission continuation, only impacts the Commission because they share a regulation fund. The Boxing Commission was continued earlier this year for 2 years. That bill's been signed by the governor. The rest of these bills are pending gubernatorial action. There are a number of bills on his desk, 251 to be exact. Most of them have action deadlines by the end of the week or this weekend, so he'll be a busy guy. But the first one, I'll take some of the non-horse and dog racing issues, and then we'll move into those, and I'll take them as a group. So the first one is House Bill 2450, which is expedited rulemaking. That's on the governor's desk. Action is due by today, I believe, by the end of today. That will extend authority for the Commission and any rulemaking entity to enter into expedited rulemaking to remove rules that are either outdated or duplicative. So that should ease the commission's burden a little bit if it ever encounters a situation where there are rules in the books that are duplicative or need to be taken out because, for example, a racing program is discontinued, for example. But the standard expedited rulemaking process applies. It just will become one more criteria for that to occur. Next, just a minor enforcement issue, more on our end than the commission's end, but House Bill 2261, as you probably already know, it is illegal under Arizona law for an ATM accepting EBT transactions to be located in a casino or a racing facility. The current remedy for that is for a report to be made to the regulating entity, which is us. The bill actually makes it a misdemeanor for that to be present in the facility, meaning that local law enforcement may issue a citation for that if they see it in the facility. That was requested at the request of the city of Phoenix. The department was neutral on that bill, but it is on the governor's desk, and it is required to be acted upon by tomorrow. The rest of the bills, there are two that have to do with dog racing. The one was discussed at length already, House Bill 2127, live dog racing prohibition. That does end live dog racing by law in the state of Arizona on December 31st, 2016, and maintains exclusivity for off-track betting operations in Pima County for current permittees until the end of the year 2018. The other one is House Bill 2387, which, if 2271 is signed into law, becomes moot, but it is also on the governor's desk. House Bill 2387, the elimination of the hardship tax credit for racing. Action on that bill is due by this afternoon as well. If it passes into law as well, they'll essentially cancel each other out. So information from Mr. Rossi is the governor intends to sign 2127. His action on 2387 is largely irrelevant at that point, but it is on his desk. The last bill for your consideration is Senate Bill 1435, which is the continuation of this commission for 8 years. In addition to that provision, it also includes a general fund appropriation for breeders' awards of $200,000. That bill is due for action by Saturday, the 14th, I believe that's Saturday. So 5 p.m. Saturday, the governor should act on that bill. Initially, it had included a diversion of parimutuel tax and regulatory wagering assessment to breeders' awards. Through various channels, we were able to negotiate a general fund appropriation to maintain revenue support for the regulation of racing operations in the state of Arizona. With that, I would be happy to answer any questions. Those are the only bills of note that are directly impacting the commission. Anything else is sort of general agency things or deals with gaming only. So we have to entertain any questions.
Oh, I thought that was going over the phone. Yeah. No, thank you. That was very informative. And I do think there was one other action taken on the Senate. We have a new old commissioner. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Okay, I just want to put it on the record that Mr. Heupel got disconnected, so he is on my cell phone, and I believe Mr. Lawless is still on the conference call.
Okay, thank you.
I'm here.
All right.
I'm now here. I'm back.
All right, the next item is the Tucson Greyhound Park permit.
Yes, in the last commission meeting there was some discussion about the TGP and when they reapplied for their permit that they did so with the knowledge that they were going to end live racing at that point in time. I took a look at the permit process, which was done correctly. It was handled by Joyce Cosby, then the deputy director, and former director Bill Walsh. Also read the Verity report again and took a look at that and noted that Liz Monty did appear before the commission and discuss that report back in, I think it was 2014, and did mention that TGP was in some type of financial trouble and without the financial support of the owners, which throughout the report she says the owners have committed to the financial wherewithal. Since then, TGP has sent in their financials every year as required. They've even complied with an additional request to send in financials. Their latest audited report was sent in a couple weeks ago, and it does mention in there that the owners have contributed to the financial operations. So we can find no substantiated evidence that they would be reapplying for their permit for the purpose of ending live racing at that time. So, and that's the information I'm supplying.
Thank you. All right, next item is the permitting reports, and not to exceed 3 minutes. So if we have our clock, if you see me raise my hand like this, that means you've got 30 seconds, and then we'll want you to wrap it up. So American Greyhound Racing, I think that is in Colorado, so no Winter County Fair. Okay, Rialto. There it is.
Good morning, Commissioners, staff. Jay Wells with the Rito Park Foundation and Rito Racing. I missed last month's meeting, so I'd like to just give you a final closing on an update on how our meet turned out. We averaged over 100 people a day over the 12 days. A couple of highlights was we did broadcast our signal out, so that we actually have the export signal. And we did $250,000 over the 10 days. We didn't have it the first weekend, but the 5 remaining weekends we did. That's a new revenue stream for us. Students that worked at the University of Arizona Racetrack Management Program have graduating this weekend, and some of them have already gotten jobs with national organizations and major tracks, and we're real proud of that collaborative effort with them. But anyway, we're working on a fall meet. We're going to make a decision here within the next month or so whether to request dates for a fall meet, and we have some negotiating to do with the county over that. The biggest obstacle is barns. We had to rent barns for the spring meet, and we found that cost prohibitive and too hot for October. But anyway, we're still in the works, still negotiating with the county, and have the usual problems that you all know too well. Any questions? Thank you very much.
And Tucson Greyhound Park.
Nothing additional to report at this time. I think Mr. Rossi covered everything pretty well.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Turf Paradise.
For the record, Vincent Francia, General Manager, Turf Paradise, Commissioner Corey, Commissioners. Turf Paradise completed its 60th season of racing on Sunday, May the 8th, and it was a good meet, the sixth decade. Our total handle this year was $214 million. That includes the live and the simulcast, and that is up 3% from last year. The biggest spike of increase occurred in the out-of-state market. We consider this a healthy sign. It means that the out-of-state horse players are accepting the Turf Paradise product. That which was down a little bit and continues to be down, and we anticipate that. That is the off-track betting network was down about 17%. The reason being is the phone betting, the ADW, is cutting into the OTB. By the way, these figures do not include ADW handling. So all in all, a good season. The total attendance was 547,000. Yet another indication that the market is, the live market is healthy. The 3 big attendance days were Wiener Mania. Over 9,200 fans came out for that. Alternative Race Day, which is when we race the camels and zebras, etc. Over 10,000. And the recent Kentucky Derby on Saturday, May the 7th, over 8,300.
Excellent. All right, so excuse me. Now we're off to item 4, and this again is not to exceed 3 minutes. So this is the Optional Industry Stakeholder Association update, Arizona Greyhound Association. Thank you. Arizona Quarter Horse Racing Association.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I'll speak for the Quarter Horse Association, being I'm a board member. Quarter Horse is maintaining its own with horses and racing in Arizona. We were hurt pretty badly with the quarantine for the herpes virus because the thoroughbreds were on site, and most of the quarter horses come in and out on race day. So they did take a downturn in quarter horse racing and the number of races that we ran this year. I just bring that to you. Thank you.
All right. Thoroughbred Breeders Association. So I was going to skip you this time.
I saw that. Good morning. My name is Deb Ward. I'm the Executive Director for the Thoroughbred Breeders. We're ended the season with our Breeders' Festival Day, 9 races. We did pretty well, some short fields. And then on May 8th, we had our sales Fatorti. So it was pretty good racing, and now we're just hoping that we can put a sale together and have a nice yearling sale coming up. So that's what we'll be working on over the summer. Thank you.
Thank you. HBPA? You want to speak again?
Mr. Director, Chairman, Commissioners, my name is Lloyd Yoder. I'm with the HPPA. As you've heard here today, we've been in negotiations in every area of the industry, and maybe even some that are not in the industry with legislation and the dog bill and so forth. It's been a struggle. It's not getting any easier. I feel that horse racing is in Arizona is stagnant at best, and until most of you have heard the story before, until we get some breed programs going and some way to increase our purses that we can draw more quality horses, I still feel it's going to be a struggle. And now we're working on next year to see if we can get the same results as we got in the past, and maybe try to grow it some, but not looking that great at growing at this point in time. But with the things that's happening now, I think we're moving in the right direction, and that's about all I have to report. Thank you.
Thank you. Jockeys Guild? And the Arizona Counties Racing Association?
Sharon Denham is down in Douglas today, but she sent me a letter that she wanted me to read to you guys. In it, she says, "My apologies for the absence today, but we are deeply involved in preparing for our race meet in Douglas next weekend. We have had 2 very successful weekends of county fair racing at Graham County Track in Safford on April 23rd and 24th, and at Santa Cruz County Track last weekend in Sonoyta. The grandstands and overflow areas on the grass and bleacher seating were full and overflowing on all 4 days of both tracks. We enjoyed the live big screen presentation of the Kentucky Derby at Sonoyta to cheer on the winner Nyquist to an already undefeated year. Doesn't get better than that for race fans. The numbers are not in yet to provide information on the total handles and profit that the counties will receive, but we are certain they will be very positive. We invite you to join the ACRA folks and the El Moro Foundation in Douglas on May 21st and 22nd to enjoy the finals of the El Moro Quarter Horse Fraternity, the Derby, and the stakes races at the Cochise County Fair Association track. The El Moro Festival will continue with the Douglas High School folklorical dancers, the China Poblana Queens from Douglas, and Hop Agua Prieta, Mexico, and an exhibition pony race, and the dance starting after the last race on the grass behind the grandstands and ending when all the food is gone and the last margarita is consumed. Now, if that doesn't get yourself packing gear for a weekend in Douglas, what will? With deep appreciation for all the help and assistance that the county fairs have received from the Division of Racing staff, we extend to all of you an invitation to join us in Douglas next weekend for a great weekend of racing. Respectfully, Sharon Denham, President of the Arizona Counties Racing Association.
All right, thank you. And that was the last of those items. So the next one is E-Commission reports. First one is a summary of per events affecting the commission. Mr. Director.
Nothing to report, sir.
Okay, and then number 2 is identification of matters to be placed on future agendas. I don't know if it's really a matter, but I do know in June I think we'll be discussing the RWA again.
We'll be providing the financial update.
All right. I was just kind of curious, and I'm sure you're working on it, but I would imagine that the Tucson eventually that may adjust and give us a little better help throughout the rest of the year.
Well, we're expecting that it gives us a bit of a financial cushion.
All right.
We'll see where we're at.
All right, so I'll be looking forward to getting that report from you for next month. All right, and then do we go to the call to the public?
You may if you'd like, but I just want clarification. Did you want put on the June agenda the issue that Mr. Rossi brought up about updating the Grade 2K associations, assistance and
yes.
the process? Okay. So if you'd like to do call the public, whichever way you want to go.
Public. I know Stacy and Jim, we're talking about items B1. Stacy was B1 and B2, B3, and Bill or Jim is B1 through 3. Did you want to do that? Do we do that now since we haven't got to the items, or do we add that as part of your time during that item?
I'm going to say that's your call, Chair.
Okay. Well, you get 2 minutes. I just double check the rules here. Yeah, 2 minutes. So you have 3 items just to talk about. So will you be able to cover all 3 in the 2 minutes?
I will do my best, but
Okay.
I'll ask for another couple of minutes under B if possible.
Under.
If you have discussion under B in addition to the public comment.
Okay, when we get there, the attorneys will have, but this is a call to the public. So when there's 30 seconds left, I will raise my hand.
Thank you, Chair. This is Stacey Harrison on behalf of Ron Sims. I'm addressing our motion to strike items in the appeal by the Jerry Group with respect to the director's decision on Ron Sims' license. Nothing that is outside the record of the OA proceedings should be considered by the Commission. I'd like to say first and foremost, we're not afraid of anything. We're not hiding anything. The material that's been added is nothing more than the same misleading, false, and distortions that were below that we defeated before the ALJ. But I also want to say that none of the arguments that were made as to why the Commission should consider this material are what would be made before a court of appeal, which you are. No one would argue, an appellate would not argue before a court of appeal that there's relevant damaging information that should have been included. They wouldn't fearmonger and argue that the court of appeal should consider things that are in other court files that weren't in the record. And certainly, they would not argue that we did not have the opportunity to present it below because we weren't a party. The Jerry Group had the opportunity to move to intervene in the ALJ proceedings. They did not. We didn't stop them from doing that. And now on an appeal level, they are in the shoes of an intervener, assuming they even have standing, and as a result, they are bound by the record below. In our papers, we have sought the only rules that govern when there's an appeal before this Commission, regardless of whether it's a final administrative decision or just the director's decision, and that is the rule that says you shall review the record, 19-2-124A3. The Attorney General Handbook also supports that you only look at the record, and everything that is cited by the other side, by the Jerry Group, is with respect to rehearings, which this isn't, and they do not have a right to argue. Thank you.
Thank you. The next one was Jim. Saying 2 minutes, and I will let you know when you have 30 seconds left.
Thank you very much. Jim Torrey on behalf of TP Racing, Jerry Sims, and Bell Racing. I'm not going to address this motion in full right now because I'm not sure if we're even going to address it when it comes up. Just a couple things. All we were trying to do was introduce a small number of additional documents that supplement the existing evidence that clearly shows that Ron lied. The documents are Ron's own statements, mostly his own statements and his counsel statements, as well as your documents in the department's records as well as other public records. I think it's very, very, very revealing that Ron is trying to hide from you the evidence of his own statements and his counsel's own statements. He knows that this evidence showed he lied. Now, I don't want to make it sound like this is the only evidence out there of his lies. There's plenty of evidence of that. This is supplementary evidence. But it is very revealing indeed that he's trying to hide that. A couple things Ms. Harrison said that I just want to address real quickly. We couldn't intervene in the proceeding below. And the other one is you are not like an appellate court. I know Ms. Harrison wants to make it sound like you're an appellate court. You're not. Judge Gama already ruled that this commission makes the final administrative decision for the department. It is very different than an appellate court. And I'll address the rest. Thank you.
Thank you. And we did have one other on the call to the public. Bill, did you want to say anything else, or?
No, sir, I withdraw my request.
Okay, thank you. And with that, then we will be moving to the back to item B, but I think we're going to have some people that want to leave, so we'll just give a couple of minutes for those who want to leave, and before we then get going on that. Does anyone need to? Let's take a 5-minute break so those who want to go to the bathroom can.
Okay, it's 10:50. We're taking a break.
Thank you.
So, hang on. Okay, we're back on, and it's 10:56.
Okay, we'll call the meeting back to order. You want to take roll call?
Yes, sir. Commissioner Garay?
Here.
Commissioner Feldmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Lawless?
Here.
Commissioner Heupel?
Here.
Commissioner McClintock?
Here.
Okay, we're all present.
All right, thank you. So we're on item B, appeals of director's decision of Jerry E. Sims' appeal to the Arizona Racing Commission. And I do think at this point in time we should probably go into executive session for some legal guidance. So I'd entertain a motion for such.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, we are now going into executive session, and unfortunately we're going to have to kick all of you out of here. I do apologize about that.
It's 10:57. This is the second open session of the 644th Regular Arizona Racing Commission meeting of May 12, 2016, held at 1110 West Washington, Suite 250, Phoenix, Arizona 85007. And do the roll call.
Okay, can you, Madam Secretary, do roll?
All right.
Oh, sorry, we forgot. You disappeared from us for a few minutes.
Okay, we are getting ready to go back into the second open session. And we are giving the court stenographer an opportunity to get logged back in.
Thank you.
Okay, the time is 11:27 a.m. and roll call is Commissioner Garay.
Here.
Commissioner Feldmeyer.
Here.
Commissioner Lawless.
Here.
Commissioner Heupel.
Here.
Commissioner McClintock.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. Go ahead, sir.
All right, now we'll move on to item B1, which is the Ronald Sims motion regarding the commission review of the record of appeal dated April 20th, 2016. Do we have any discussion? Anyone comments to add? Okay, at this point in time, I think what we're going to do is we will be limiting it to what was presented to the administrative law judge in the OA offices. All right, now we're moving on to item number 2, the Ronald Sims request for commission to rule on the amended motions to dismiss and to set a hearing on Ron's amended motion to dismiss appeal for lack of jurisdiction and standing dated May 6, 2016. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I looked at this request, and I've been trying to keep up with all of the massive paperwork that's been sent our way. And it seems to me that the easiest way to deal with number 2 is anybody that wants to talk about this during their time allotted on June 28th is welcome to do it then. I don't know that we need to rehash or in preparation for that date, do it now.
I would be in agreement that if you want to discuss this, you can make it part of your oral arguments on June 28th. Any further discussion, comments? No. All right, item 3, procedural issues and deadlines regarding this matter. I think everything has been relatively set in stone. Is there anyone that has comments or needs to make changes? Or
This is Stacey Harrison on behalf of Ron. There's no changes. Just as a point of procedure, in our request under item B2, we had asked the commission to rule on the 3 motions to dismiss that it tabled at the last meeting, simply to have a formal ruling, so we have exhausted our administrative remedies. And there was a motion, and this was in the request that I filed, or that we filed a week or so ago. There was a motion to dismiss based upon the fact that the commission has failed to follow its own rules and to adopt rules governing these proceedings. A motion to dismiss with respect to the appeal because it was already considered material outside the record, and a motion to dismiss for failure to timely disclose ex parte communications. I know that there was a lot of discussion at the last meeting regarding these motions. I do not suggest we have additional discussion. They were simply tabled and there was no formal ruling. Thank you.
So we're back on the procedural issues. So everyone has the dates, and you know the time limits that you'll be limited to during oral arguments is 1 hour. Just one thing I would like to add is during your oral arguments, if one of the commissioners raises their hand, I would request that you when you got to the end of what your comment, stop and allow the commissioner to ask you a question during that time. But during your oral arguments, we reserve the right to ask questions. Anything further? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Meeting's adjourned at 11:31 a.m.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.